Good evening and welcome to Ask the Attorney. I'm Amy Rao Mohan, your host for tonight, and here's your chance to ask all of those legal questions you've always wanted to ask. The guest tonight is Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm.
Hi, Amy. Nice to see you as always.
Good to see you too. And you practice primarily in Clarksville.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about your practice,
Well,
Kevin.
basically, you know, I've been a lawyer now for 31 years, and we have a big team of lawyers and support staff. We do just about everything from bankruptcy to divorce. We do estate planning, Social Security, criminal cases, lots of car wrecks, things like that, any kind of personal injury.
And so on this show, what the great opportunity is that people can call in to the Plus at 737-7587. That's 737-7587, and the number's at the bottom of your screen. And they've got a chance to ask any of those questions,
sure.
Whether it is a question about divorce or child custody, criminal law, civil law. We should be able to answer all of them.
And, you know, just like what we say every time, you should take advantage of these questions. You know, just because you said, well, I heard him talk last time, the law changes all the time. And just a little bit twist of the facts makes a different interpretation of how you think it should come out. And knowledge is power, but knowing just a little bit of the law is a dangerous thing, because there's always an exception to the exception to the exception. You say, wow, I didn't know that.
And you learn a lot from the callers that call in the different situations that they have. And you know, I've only practiced a couple years, and so I learn a lot just from your advice and from hearing
you know, at
callers.
the office we take interns, and we have a lot of young people that work around there. Wow. Just being around, hearing how a lawyer analyzes a fact situation, or hear how a lawyer talks and responds over the phone, or there's a lot in the law, which is theory, and then the law is there, and so we're all the time using a strategy. How can we achieve this goal? And there's lots of different ways that we try to do that. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. If they don't work, we come up with Plan D. That's what our minds are trained to do.
And just remember that number at the bottom of your screen, 737-PLUS, 737-7587, and a call anytime you can. And it looks like we've already got a couple callers here. We've got Jackie. Hi, Jackie.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. How can we help you today?
Yes, I'm calling about, you know, my son is in the state custody.
Yes.
And I want to know something. And, you know, we went to the trial yesterday, and I got overboard and told my sister, why did she do this? Did I do the right thing by acting out, you know, just getting mad and upset because my child is in state custody?
Well, you know, if you go to the courts anywhere and someone takes your child or takes a child that's close to a family member, it's going to enrage you. Sometimes, and it affects everybody. The only question, how do we deal with it? The best is never to have an outburst. That is always best. And I try to teach that to young lawyers to prepare their clients so that we don't have a display that would be embarrassing, or those kind of attitudes show, golly, you've heard the old saying, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, so it'll have bearing back on the defendant. And he said, well, we're going to just, and many times in a juvenile case, perhaps they put them in state custody just for a little while, a shock, to try to get their attention so that they don't go down a wrong path. Well, if someone had a really big ordeal, then that leaves a lasting impression. And so the judge says, well, I'll have to take some drastic measures to put this child on a corrective course. So we certainly understand how that can be, but the word to the wise is be cautious and refrain and try to prepare yourself.
Yeah, that's always hard. I always wondered when I was in news how lawyers prepare defendants for that, because we would always get the camera right there ready for a verdict, and it's hard not to react a lot of times.
Quite often we'll hear a spouse say, all you got to do is you get on him. You get on him, Kevin. You're going to push his buttons. He's going to explode. And I said, now, do you guarantee it? Because if I really want to push him, I'll push him over the edge. And then again, once you're agitated, remember this, a man can never think clear once he's agitated. So if I really wanted to throw that gentleman off, agitate him.
All right, keep calling that number at the bottom of your screen, 737-PLUS, 737-7587. We're going to take the next call here from Patricia. Hi, Patricia.
Hi.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. I have a question for the attorney.
All righty.
I've been paying for a couple of years for a renter's policy for my meager belongings that I own in my house. I've been paying Hartford Insurance Company, and there happened to be black toxic mold grow under the house, and then before we knew what was happening, grew up into the closet and ruined leather coats, leather purses, my suitcases, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
At least possibly $10,000 worth of items, and the Hartford Insurance Company is refusing to pay a penny. First, they will tell me that it's because of the timing of when we had it fixed and when we reported it, and then when that doesn't seem to pan out for them, they tell me that it's because it was not due to an overflow of a sewer, and we live in the city limits.
Okay. Well,
so you're wondering what she can do about this.
Well, first off, you know, we want to take this opportunity to tell everyone, get renter's insurance. And then again, when you go to purchase it, will you say, what does this actually cover? Does it cover theft? Does it cover water damage? Will it cover mold damage? Because, you know, if you're paying a small premium, perhaps you didn't get the coverage. But everyone says, well, okay, I'm going to check this. So the point is, get the insurance. Try to understand it. The best way is to question it. And yes, ma'am, I think that the insurance company probably has a problem with that. And I think I would pursue that. And if you have to, you can go to the Tennessee Commissioner on Insurance and file a complaint. Because realistically, you paid your premium. You've got a contract with them. They should provide the coverage. And we also understand that's why lawyers are popular, because the insurance companies are constantly trying to find a way not to pay.
And maybe easier having a lawyer to deal with the insurance company as well.
I say this, when you drive through any big city, one of the biggest buildings you'll ever find is the insurance companies, because they didn't build those gigantic buildings paying all these claims. So it's a gamble. But know your rights. Understand it. You can go online and look and say, hey, what's the deal here? I think you've got a real good argument that they should cover that.
All right, good advice there for Patricia. We've got Sandra here on line 1. Hi, Sandra.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. What's your question for us today?
I went and had, my son had insurance, and my insurance company accepted the payment, but what they did was they canceled him out, and then they cashed the check 3 days later.
Okay. Well, I hear those kind of fact scenarios quite often. If you paid the money and they cashed the check, you've got a contract. And one of the cases that actually happened to myself, years ago, I had a disability policy, and so I signed and everything I thought was good to go, and I had to make a claim. And the adjuster came to see me, and he said, well, now, Kevin, you weren't covered. And I said, well, okay. He said, but you need it now. So I said, all right. So I wrote him a check. Well, guess what? About 2 months later, they hit my account for all the way prior to my accident. Wow. So I called him, and I told him to come in. He said, well, Kevin, the insurance companies decided not to pay. I remembered I was a young lawyer, and I said, no. They've decided not to pay voluntarily, but I can assure you they are going to pay. And that fired me up, because I really thought in my mind that my mother, how would she wrestle with the insurance company if I had been killed? So I made a point, we got my coverage. So again, where she is, you're going to have to constantly be advancing your cause and get a witness, try to understand the policy. The squeaky door does get the oil, so keep pursuing it.
Yeah, worth the fight.
Yes, don't give up.
All right. Well, we've got a lot more questions to answer, so please keep calling that number, 737+, 737-7587, and we'll be back with Kevin Kennedy after this.